Hello and welcome to Candidates Up Front, a public interest election program of Berks Community Television and the League of Women Voters of Berks County. I'm Bill Litvin, a member of the League. Our May 17th primary election is coming up, and because of redistricting following the census, there are new districts and many candidates. The primary election is when the main political parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, choose their candidates. You must be registered to vote as a Republican or a Democrat to choose your party's candidate. The deadline to register is May 2nd. We are interviewing candidates in contested races. That means a contest within the party. In each election district, the candidates will get the same basic questions and will have the same amount of time to answer them. Two candidates are competing in the 129th Pennsylvania House of Representatives district. Mark Detterlein and Johanny Cepeda Freitas. We do not yet know if there will be a Republican on the ballot this fall. This district includes West Reading, Wyomissing, Sinking Spring, and parts of the city of Reading and Spring Township. State representatives serve a 2-year term in the state legislature in Harrisburg. They initiate legislation and vote to create laws. They pass the budget, including taxes and expenditures of the state. They help constituents with issues regarding state government. The salary for a state representative is $90,335 per year plus benefits and expenses. Please note that the opinions expressed in this interview are those of the candidate and not the opinions of the League of Women Voters or Berks Community Television. The interview today is with Johanny Cepeda Freitas. Welcome.
Thank you.
Please tell our viewers about yourself and why you are running.
Absolutely. So my name is Johanny Cepeda Freitas. I am currently a resident in the city of Reading. I own Mi Casa Su Casa Cafe in our beautiful downtown Reading. I've been doing that for the past 15 years. I'm the mother of 2 teenagers, a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old who's college bound. Super excited for that accomplishment. And I also serve on city council, and I've been doing so since 2019. And currently my role is that of vice president of city council. I am running because I enjoy serving. While I'm serving on city council, I love advocating for a constituency. I enjoy gathering input and gathering feedback before I make decisions or pass ordinances as a city council member. And I want to do that now for a larger constituency. There's many needs and many voids, and I believe in always putting people before politics, people above politics, and I want to continue serving in that capacity.
Do you have specific goals you're looking to accomplish?
Absolutely. So, and I'm going to get personal. So during the pandemic, we all know that there's a disparity in education. So depending on the zip code, children have more resources versus others. And during the pandemic is when it was very vivid for me, where Reading School District students didn't have access to laptops, so they were delayed in virtual learning, right? And I understand that that's due to districts and unequal distribution of funding, and I know it's also related to the taxpayer base and so on. But we have to do something that's. I know there's a fair funding formula set in place in legislation. However, it hasn't either been enforced or it needs to be revisited. No kid should be penalized because of the choices that their parents make. Every child deserves access to success, access to high standards of education, regardless of where they reside. So to me, I'm very passionate because our young people are our future, and we need to properly prepare them for the world of work and so that they can compete.
Okay. Our next question actually relates to that. Mm-hmm. There are inequities in the funding of our public schools. Schools in rich zip codes thrive. Schools in poor zip codes struggle. Is our funding system fair to students and to taxpayers? If you think we need change, what would you change?
So we definitely need change. And I think once I get into office and as I speak to the experts in the field, we have to figure out how to make those necessary changes. As I mentioned before, when speaking with other state reps, I learned that there is some type of fair funding formula in place. It just needs to be enforced or revisited, enhanced so that it makes sense across the board. All children, like I said, deserve high standards of education regardless of where they reside.
Should we do away with property tax to fund schools? And if so, what should replace it?
Well, we need property taxes, right? I mean, that's how we generate revenue. That's how we pave our streets. That's how we keep cities in business and in operation. So interesting you say that. When I think about property tax, I often think that we need to start taxing other revenues. So, for example, let's take marijuana dispensaries, right? There's several throughout the city. I'm not sure how many are located in the other areas of the district, but we need to figure out a tax maybe on that. That's a lucrative business, and perhaps we need to consider taxing that to help generate funds for the school districts.
So
And-
what?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
And also, as it relates to property tax, what's also close to my heart is also like the elderly population, right? They get it in, they've worked, several of them work all their life, then they come to retirement age. And I think it's unfair that they have to pay these high property taxes when they're living on fixed incomes. And some of them become ill, and then they have the medical bills and medicine. And I'm so against an elderly person having to choose between living because they need their meds or becoming homeless, right? Because they can't afford their property. So there has to be something that we can do at the state level to either reduce property tax or have them be fixed as seniors' incomes are.
So what would you do to provide every child in Pennsylvania with a quality education? Do you have an overview of how you might accomplish that?
Well, first, we know we need funding, right? We need the necessary resources. I think we need cross-training. We need, so some of the thoughts that I've had, for example, are, when we look at all the school districts, what is their health care? What is their HR, superintendents? There has to be a way that we can maybe share some of the expenses. And so simultaneously also share the resources, right? Because everybody typically uses, whether it's supplies, books. There's some shared expenses that I think that we need to start looking at and maybe start viewing education at the county level versus like individual municipalities or districts.
Okay, Berks County is 50% agricultural. We know growing seasons have changed and storms seem to be more destructive. Should the state do more to keep the planet habitable? And if so, what should the state do?
Yes, absolutely. I don't think we as human beings cause so much damage to our environment and our lands. And the state needs to be either create some type of incentive programs for people to have the opportunities and abilities to maintain their lands. I think that we need to also have some type of I don't know if the word is cross-cultural, but we should have some urban agriculture. We should be growing some of our products, fruits, vegetables, and we should integrate them in cities. But yes, the state should be doing more to preserve, to cultivate, because our climate is changing, our environment is changing, and we want to live longer and healthier lives, right? We want our oxygen to still be pure and not constantly polluted. So, yes.
Okay. Any thoughts on clean energy versus fossil fuels?
Any thoughts? Well, I mean, if we kind of switch to solar paneling, that could probably help renewable energy. And I know that's a challenge and it's a process that's going to take some time. But we should definitely move in that direction so we can, right? So we can breathe clean air, drink clean water.
Any thoughts in terms of charging the fracking industry commensurate to the cost to repair damages caused by fracking?
Absolutely. Right. Maybe we can get taxes from there to pay for education. Yes.
Well,
I think everyone, I mean, we need to hold accountable. We need to start holding some entities accountable for where we're at with our environment. And I know it's going to take a collective and people coming to the table to have these real conversations and come up with doable solutions. I know things take time, but we have to come to the table so we can make some of these things happen.
Any thoughts about electric cars and charging stations?
Gosh, electric cars should be more reasonably priced, right? So that we can encourage people to be able to afford them. And yes, and I know I've seen more electric charging stations, and we should have them more in abundance, but provided that we make it more accessible for people to be able to purchase these vehicles.
Okay, and it'd be challenging in the city to have,
Yeah, it would be challenging, but when there's a will, there's a way, right? And that's where the state comes in with funding.
okay. People never like taxes, yet they are necessary. In this time of increasing disparity between the incomes of the well-to-do and the poor, is a flat income tax, as we have in Pennsylvania at 3.07%, still appropriate, or should we change to a graduated income tax? Please tell us why you think that way.
So I believe that we need to start creating opportunities for people to get out of poverty, whether it's that increasing the wages, increasing minimum wages. We have to start investing in our community so that they can get out of poverty and start building wealth so that we're all somehow at an even playing field. I know no one likes paying taxes, but it's a necessity in order for us to live and afford and be able to enjoy what cities have to offer for us to, you know, like I said, to have paved roads, for example. I know
So
that.
it's the graduated versus flat tax?
Yeah, I would say graduated versus flat.
Okay, and the reasons you talked about are the reasons why?
Well, I mean, I think the more people earn, obviously, the more they get taxed.
Well, with a flat tax, it's at a certain percentage though, so graduated would be at different percentages based on higher incomes.
Correct, right.
Okay. We have two major parties in Pennsylvania. Though occasionally they agree on something, the overall impression voters have is no cooperation, no compromise. If we drew a line between partisanship and non-partisanship, where would you place yourself?
I would be somewhere in the middle. Okay, so my motto is we have to focus on the needs of people, right? We need to start putting political parties, political affiliations, views to the side and start focusing on what the needs of our communities are so that we can address and tackle and meet their needs. So that's why I say I would be somewhere in the middle, and I guess leaning more towards nonpartisan, right? Because it's sometimes I feel that, you know, when we start looking at political parties, you know, we start segregating, and that could lead to possible discrimination. So we have to really look at people as human beings and make decisions that are going to meet the needs of people. Did that answer the question?
Well, I might ask a few more questions there. Are there issues where you might stray from the party line, from what traditionally is the line of your party?
Yes.
And
That's fair to say.
What might those be?
Gosh, it depends on the situation or on the circumstance. You know, for example, we have to enable and encourage our community members to strive for better and more, and to be able to have better working opportunities. And I know that for you to have a better working opportunity, you have to sometimes educate yourself, or you have to go for a higher degree or a trade or things of the sort. So in that sense, you know, I believe that we have to enable people to become self-sufficient versus to always depend on government.
Okay. Are there areas in terms of voting rights where you might differ from the party?
What do you mean? No,
I'm looking for different issues where you might have other disagreements or
No,
agreements with the party,
So,
like voting rights or gun control,
okay,
similar
so
to
when it comes to voting rights, I mean, we have to do what's possible to make sure that everyone is enabled, encouraged to vote, and that we don't create barriers or obstacles that prevent them from voting. You know, already there's a sector of our population that feels disenfranchised. So we have to make it. I don't know if that.
Sure.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I got a
No,
little distracted.
There's no right or wrong with these questions. It's just.
And then when it comes to gun control, there has to be more responsible gun ownership, because there's an increase in teens having access to guns, and we've seen a lot of violence and deaths of our teens because teens are accessing guns, and that's completely unacceptable. So we have to figure out how we tackle that, because that's a major problem. No children should have their hands on guns.
Okay.
You know,
Any,
so-
any thoughts on mail-in or absentee ballots? As a voting issue?
Well, they should remain. I mean, I don't think we
Okay.
need to change what's worked. I know, well, it kind of worked and hasn't worked. I mean, there's been some discrepancies and disparities, but anything that we can do to encourage the voter to vote is what we should continue to do.
Okay, very good. Well, we have 4 minutes left, so I think you can have 2 minutes to make your closing statements, so please go ahead.
Okay. Well, I thank all the viewers for watching. My name again is Johanny Cepeda Freitas. I'm running to become the next state representative of the 129th. In the past 15 years that I've been in the city of Reading, I've been actively involved in my community and beyond. I consider myself a servant leader, and I will always advocate for the rights of people, for the needs of people, and with the people. Even through city council, I've consistently voted on behalf of the people, and I will continue to serving in that matter and making sure that everyone in my district has what they need, has equal access to equal access to work, to education, equal pay, and that we help every single person in our district, for those that are in poverty or struggling, that we meet their needs, and that we help them become self-sustainable and have access to wealth.
Thank you, Johanny Cepeda Freitas. I hope I pronounced that.
Yep, you did.
Okay, for sharing your message with BCTV viewers. Before we close, I want to remind our viewers that there is another candidate in this race, Mark Detterline. I encourage you to watch that interview and this interview so you are fully informed when you vote. If you are not sure of your voting status, please go to vote.pa.gov. I'll repeat, vote.pa.gov. It's on your screen right now. You can register to vote, change your party, locate your polling place, or apply for an absentee or mail-in ballot. Then check the League's online voters guide, vote411.org. And I'll repeat, vote411.org, and again, it's on your screen, to confirm your district and to get more information on the candidates. If you still have election questions, Berks County Election Services will help. Email them at elections@countyofberks.com. That's elections@countyofberks.com, or phone them at 610-478-6490. And for information about our new districts and all voting issues, do watch League of Women Voters Presents Ready, Set, Vote on BCTV beginning April 12th. Thank you for watching Candidates Up Front. I'm Bill Litvin. Good day.